And we are live.
Hello and welcome to Station 42. I'm your infamous Dread Nerd host, Vadran Malik, and with me today is our co-host,
Traz Ion, that's me, broadcasting live from UEE Combat Station that I hear has just recently suffered a catastrophic attack of weird ooze bugs. Let's check in and see if our technical lead has any words on those repairs.
Hey guys, I'm Godric, your technical lead who makes the show possible. I don't know what that is, what you're saying about weird ooze bugs, but you may want to get that looked at.
Never.
we also have with us today a special guest, Mr. StarMemphis. Hello, Star. How are you doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Pretty
Pretty
good,
good.
man. Well, on to something a little bit more serious. Instead of the typical commercial, this time we wanted to do something a little special. With Veterans Day approaching this November the 11th, we at Station 42 would like to take a moment to remember and honor by doing so the veterans of the UEE, both long and past and present. To those who have fought and sacrificed their lives for the betterment and safety of our own, we thank you. So the next time you pass a veteran, whether on Terra or in a G-Lock on ArcCorp, take a moment to thank them for their service to the UEE and remind them that they are not forgotten.
That's right, man. I'll toast a pint to that. Stay safe, you wily space vets.
Additionally, our broadcast is supported in part by the StarCitizen Facebook group, affectionately known as the Ready Player One community. Just search Facebook group's group function for Star Citizen. We're the largest and the friendliest. Think cuddly space pandas with lasers and rockets. Writing by Mr. Irv Nation, may he always shoot first, and the graphical content is by our own skilled graphics ninja, Player Cause. Today's
All
current
right.
events, you going ahead and do that current events, Ion?
Oh, I suppose I might. Yeah,
Please,
sure.
sir.
So the biggest rumor rolling around right now is 2.0. When's it going to be? Is it going to be today? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be the next week? What do you think?
We have a patch.
There was a patch. I think it was a patch to the patcher.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You got any theories on that? I mean, would think they're going to go the way they've done it in the past with like when AC first launched, like a low rollout, or you think they'll do it super quick like they did with ArcCorp?
What you thinking, Star?
Well, if it's gonna be a PTU rollout, then I think they should go with what they did the first time around with the Arena Commander, the slow rollout.
Yeah, I could see that. Somebody had passed on something about like they're going to do like a very limited release, something like 500, but that's second and third and quadruple-handed information, so I've got nothing solid on that myself.
I do know that there's always a little bitty patch right before some sort of release, and there was read a little blurb on a Facebook post somewhere saying that it was a Reddit Star Citizen group had said that they basically knew that it was a hot fix for the launcher. So I don't know if that was just a hot fix to make it, ready for 2.0, or if it was just because there was a bug somewhere and they're just taking their time to fix it.
Well, I can say this, like, of course, the community team was at the Austin meetup group last night, and I had the good fortune of being in Texas and making the trip down there to hang out. And of course, they're not going to give you any hard dates, but they were very excited about some soon to be announced things. So like, I mean, if it's today, if it's tomorrow, or if it's a week, that's so close that it makes no difference. I'm so pumped, so pumped.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move a little bit forward to some useful info. When re-importing any exported keybind profile, if you're importing multiple devices, as is often the case with HOTAS or HOMAS profiles, the box that you select on the keyboard, joystick 1 and 2, are now drop-down menus in the 1.3 patch. They've kind of hidden from us, from what I understand.
Yes, that it threw me for a loop when I first went into the PTU. I was like, I couldn't bring in my profile, so I was like, well, I'm not gonna fly because I'm not gonna reset it all up when it's just gonna get erased in a couple of days. But a buddy of mine pointed that out, and I was like, oh my god. I'm Star, do you fly with a custom profile, or do you do like the more traditional, like out of the box keyboard mouse experience?
I'd go with default settings and keyboard and mouse.
So there is some wisdom there because it makes it easy when you're going patch to patch. But I don't know. I play with all the weird peripherals, and so I'm always having to fight with like XML files. And back in the day before they made the profile function, that's probably the most useful feature they've ever put in my just the ability to export your profile and re-import it later.
Yeah, at least they're making something for everybody.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't think I've had a chance to test this, but perhaps, honestly, Ion, you want to do this one?
Yeah, sure, man. I think what may be building up with this whole this micro change to the hotkeys and the key binding system is that maybe we'll be able to see more devices supported.
Certainly.
Because generally Windows only handles like a maximum of 4 devices unless you use like a software interface, I believe. And I'm no expert on this. I've read a fair bit about it when I was trying to fight through my own original XML files back in the day, last year, I guess. And so it's possible that maybe this is their step to move it on to where we can have more than 4. Because I mean, right now with pedals, throttle, flight stick, that's 3. And then I've got my keyboard and mouse plugged in, which they don't take up those stick profiles or whatever. But still, if you have a controller plugged in, well, what if you also have a G13 on the side as well? Like there comes a point where you run into a limitation unless there's software involved that helps integrate it so that your computer can read all that. So I mean, maybe they're moving into that phase, because we know that they're not happy with the present state of the key binding system. Like they know that it needs work, and which is great, because there are definitely some key binds that I feel very strongly about wanting to have put in. So I'm glad to know that they're going to keep working on it. So I mean, maybe that's that. I don't know.
All right. Well, okay. So, also in demand, the demand for the black Concierge service cards, the little black cards that they're actually putting out, it's through the roof, and it's so much that they've managed to actually go and cancel the pre-order early. If you do not have your card locked in by this Saturday, they're going to close the ability to purchase one. So you need to pick that up right now. Hey, Star, do you know anybody that actually is planning on getting one of those cards?
No, not to my knowledge. You're pretty much the only guy I've been talking to about this.
I guess you do now. I've just picked up my card yesterday. So honestly, what the card actually is a VIP proof. You can use it to enter into some of the parties, some of the other services that they might be having in local areas, and that way you'd basically get a VIP entrance. Today's lore highlight is going to be the Odin system. You can go to the ARC map and check the system out. There is a lot of There's a lot of merchandise to be had. If you go inside of the system, it's basically a cluster of dead I want to say it's dead asteroids, known as the Coil.
You almost had me there at dead ass, but then you moved on to something.
I know you got excited. I know you got it excited, but you have to contain it. No, it's honestly it's a money pit.
Zombie in me just when to put it in court speak, I got a little stiff.
Well, that's all fair and good, but it's called the Coil. And okay. What it is supposedly there's some sort of electromagnetic interference that makes it hard to mine assets from there. There it is again. But at the same time, it's also a good place for the pirates to hide, so you might want to be wary if you're trying to go for some of that wonderful loot out there. You plan to visit the coil anytime, Star?
Say again?
You plan to go out to the Odin system anytime by chance?
Most likely. I plan on going to as many places as I can.
I understand, like I say, it's a little bit of one of the more risky places to go, so I just wanted to know a little bit about what your plans were, if we were going to be a heavy explorer or not.
Well, my experience with EVE Online tells me that I'm going to be in some pretty
Places to
dangerous
go, so I
areas
just
because I lived in nullsec for a very
Nice.
long time.
Now, were you more of a combatant in nullsec, or were you more of a miner, like support and logistics kind of thing? What was your favorite?
Well, I kind of went down two roads when I played EVE. So I really didn't do a whole lot of exploring per se, but I did a lot of industrial and trading kind of roles, and
Right.
that brought me into the deeper parts of space. And then on the other hand, I joined a piracy group for a while.
Nice.
I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're called the Band of Brothers, and that was a long time
I
ago.
have heard of them. Oddly enough, I played Eve all of like maybe 3 or 4 months back at the very beginning of the game, and I enjoyed it, but I got frustrated with some of the like it wasn't very. It just felt like playing a solo game at the time. I know things changed later on, but I walked away from it. I never came back. But even so, it's hard to be a gamer and a fan of science fiction and an MMO gamer and not have heard the crazy stories. So yes, I actually recognize the Band of Brothers, and if I remember correctly, I think the backstory goes that they were the target of a pretty vicious metagame attack / and/or destruction of properties and such.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was infiltrated,
Right.
and it was some crazy stuff, but that actually didn't happen when I was part of it.
Nice.
So
So
I
how
watched
does
from the outside.
how does that color your perspective coming into Star Citizen? Paranoid
Trust
much?
trust no one.
Yar matey.
Trust issues.
I have some serious trust issues
Right
when
on.
it comes to games like this.
Yeah, no. Well, and I've always wondered about that as well. Like, LTI mechanics may mean, and the fact that it's 90% NPCs to 10% players, and the fact that, I don't know, it'll be it's going to be interesting seeing how this game develops culturally, gamer culture wise, in comparison to what we've seen historically in other MMOs, whether like the the initiating MMOs like Ultima Online, EverQuest One, those kinds of games versus the more homogenized ones or Vanilla WoW, and then the more homogenized ones like the newer ones like Guild Wars 2, later WoW, so on and so forth. I mean, there's such a change in culture from one game to another.
Yeah, but as with anything, like for example, the zombie apocalypse, it's not going to be the zombies you really want to worry about. It's the people
Right.
around you.
So it sounds like you play some Rust.
No, I haven't actually.
DayZ.
But I have played a little bit of DayZ actually.
Nice. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the zombie stuff, but oddly enough, I have not played any of those games because Star Citizen took up way too much of my time.
Yeah.
Amen on that one. No, seriously though, I just usually whenever we go into play video games and like the Star Citizen I've completely dropped off the map of Path of Exile. I used to play PlanetSide 2, and now Star Citizen is pretty much predominantly taking up my gaming life completely. So yeah, I can understand that 100%. Let's go ahead and do the theory crafter real quick. Despite the technical challenges, we know that CIG would love to include orbital mechanics, day and night cycles, and the likes. Any thoughts of what kind of gameplay that might add? What do you think that'll bring to your game experience? Is it important to you or not, Star?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's super important, but important enough that it would definitely add some interesting elements to the game. Like, you got to think about, where's this gate gonna lead to? Is it always gonna lead to the same place in another system? I mean,
Right.
there's
Well,
just
and that's interesting because they have talked about having
Mm-hmm.
the jump points vary where they, we know that they're going to vary where they dump you out, because they want to make sure that there's no gate camping, griefing kind of gameplay going on. But where they jump from, now that might be stable. But then they've talked about the endpoint system itself, like completely separate than where you jump out of into the same system, but actually having them migrate from one system to another, perhaps, and how stable they are. There's all kinds of theory on that. It's interesting for sure.
I'm feeling like a single entry point might have a lifespan, and where the exit point might have like a maybe anywhere from like a 30,000 kilometer range where it'll always shoot out a different random
Right.
spot. It would still also be that the entry point will have a lifespan of its own, like maybe within a span of 2 weeks. So something like a smaller gate might be just a little bit shorter on the life, whereas a larger one will take a lot longer for it to evaporate. Just a thought there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and day and night
and
cycles.
the thing is if they keep it to a range that's only like 30K or even 100K, some of the larger pirate orders probably will be able to have what you would do.
Right.
You'd probably set up a QRF force to intercept, and then you'd set up like scouts all along and just track people coming in. And and that's not necessarily bad. You want pirates to be able to be, you want them
Functional.
to have to utilize strategy and tactics and to to create the game experience so they can have success as well. They're an integral part of the Star Citizen game experience and lore and world.
You don't really want to have them just hanging out at the same spot though every single time, because
Right.
that actually causes basically a turf war.
Right. I mean, and then the difference is between griefing and pirating. Like, when you introduce more effort required in order to accomplish something, it's more likely that the people who are going to do it are going to be vested in it, and it's not going to be for the lulls, hopefully.
Yeah.
or at least if you're getting your lulls while getting your booty, then we're good to go. But if you're just there for the lulls, I might have to kill you.
I'm actually hoping for something along the lines of a summer and winter cycle as well on the planet sides. I think that would be kind of interesting to see a winter on Terra or ArcCorp.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about cycles, and that's actually brilliant. I was still caught up in the idea of day-night cycles, different time of days on the rotation. I don't know. What do you think about that, Memphis? Freaking winter and summer. Oh.
that would just add a whole nother level of breathability. I mean, it's going to be such a living, breathing universe if we see things like that.
That's a great word. Like breathability, like that is fantastic. That is the good word choice, my friend. Good word choice.
It's the bacon word of the day.
Bacon.
There you go.
That just became a thing. The bacon word of the day.
Pretty much. There you go. No, honestly though, there's one problem with the summer and winter cycles, and they've already discussed this one a little bit. It's got to do with the fact that that for summer and winter to be a thing, it's got to have a tilted axis, and B, it also has to be where it actually is rotating around said planet. Right. So when it's rotating around, and you had your coordinates for Sol set at 157C-2, and now you go and you find out that it's like double that number because it just moved and you've been away for 6 months. Well, then that kind of creates a kind of a hazard, and it's its own haphazard problem. Whereas it could be that in your system, instead of using a coordinate grid system, you might be using a planet lock system like Find Sol used the transponder to do it. So they haven't really worked out if they're going to do that or not. I believe I've read that they want to do it if they can, that it might come at a later date.
Right. I think some of the issues there, is time compression too, because like if you want it to look like where every time you come back to a system, the planets are in a different, measurably noticeable alignment, then you would have to have time compression so they orbit quicker, which means now you land on the planet and you're like, oh, it was winter 3 days ago and now it's summer, like that. So an interesting thing is, what if they took it back to the real world where they actually do it where like literally since we already do the in-game years based on the real world years. It's 2945 in the year 2015 here. Maybe if they actually did it where it literally took a whole year, so over the course of a year you wouldn't notice those changes immediately, but over the course of a year planets would actually be in different alignments, and you'd actually have different seasons, and you'd have your favorite place to, maybe you like to hang out on the, on the Terra side of the galaxy during the winter months, and then in Earth on the summer months.
They could possibly do that with some sort of a template system where they've mapped out where each month might be, and they go and they update the months and the planets' shaders and effects to correspond with where they might be. That would be feasible, but it would be probably a massive amount of data, and I don't know how they would go and tackle that. So it's just all well and good.
I mean, unless they use like a procedural generation script to generate all those data points for all the different systems, and then once they're set in, then you hard code that in. Maybe in my head it sounds easy, but I'm sure all the coders out there are crying and tears of travesty, hoping that Chris Roberts doesn't hear what we're saying and want it.
All right, so let's go ahead and move forward. Andrew, do you actually play the game a little bit? You pay attention to the game less often than most people, from what you've told me. Is it better or worse for your overall hype of Star Citizen? Does breaking away give you a chance to see something new, Star?
Oh yeah, it's probably better. I find the longer that I wait in between checking in with Star Citizen, the more new things I come across. That alone is a hype builder for me. For instance, there are a few ships that I'm unfamiliar with, and I plan on keeping it that way for a little while up till, well, hopefully when the game releases, I'll be surprised by a few things. Be like, wow, look at that ship.
All right.
Yeah, I can see that. It's funny because that's completely the opposite of the way I've had my experience. But like you say it, and I'm like, man, that actually sounds pretty legit, because I bet you I would play more video games if I didn't follow this game so much. I find that the more I follow Star Citizen, like I had a hard time playing anything else because I was like, I didn't want to play anything else. So I'm wandering around from game to game to game saying, this isn't Star Citizen. This isn't Star Citizen.
Yeah.
This isn't Star Citizen.
What does your wife think about the game?
She's not a huge fan. I mean, her idea of gaming is with me on the couch playing couch co-op beat 'em ups, and
oh, nice.
Well,
at least she does that with you. I mean, there's a big difference between she's not into gaming and she's not into gaming. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it sounds like, I mean, at least she's gaming friendly, even if this isn't her flavor.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. But that, and now I got the 4-month-old, but he could care less about this. all he wants is his bot and a diaper change.
Future gunner.
There you go.
I hope so. Can't wait to introduce him to Star Wars too.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
One more question before we get into the rapid fires. Are you planning on bringing anybody else on board to the game? Any kind of friends, close personal buddies that you're wanting to say, hey, you gotta check this out?
Well, there's one guy I'd like to bring into it. He lives around the corner from me, but I'm not sure this is really his cup of tea. But other than that, I'm probably just going to be the weekend warrior type and mostly play solo, just because of my current lifestyle.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, I have a lot of friends that are embedded in family. I mean, this game has a larger age range. An older age range is the average, which is a little unusual, which means that I think a lot more people have like more immersive professional careers and in family lives. So that'll probably shape a fair bit of the culture of this game, I think.
Yeah. Well, you also got to think it's a lot of the age range has to do with people's machines that they owned.
Buying power too. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So what you're saying is when the game launches, then all the young whippersnappers are going to come in and they're going to pee on our lawn. Get off my space lawn.
No, I'm saying that they're puny machines that they can't afford. They got the little bitty computers, and us older folks got the powerful machines. We'll be able to run the game, and they'll just crash and burn.
Dear Lord. Can my Xbox play it?
Yeah, just wire that baby up. Let's watch her melt.
Puny console peasant.
Oh, dear Lord.
PC Master Race.
All right, so you ready for them rapid fires?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, keyboard and mouse or HOTAS, and why?
Keyboard and mouse, it's what I own.
Good reason. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
What brand of ships? One brand, human only, and why?
Aegis. I just think they're beautiful ships.
Ballistics?
Vadran's
Huh.
human racist.
Shh. I have shh, don't tell anybody. Ballistics, energy, or something fancy? Which one's preferred and why?
Right now, ballistics. I just like to think about ripping through shields and armor plating with some heavy metal.
Nice. Heavy metal. What would you want to see for the future future community? What kind of changes would you like the community to do to strive for?
Well, I'd like there to be less visibility to the inside of CIG closer to the launch of the game. It kind of feels too personal sometimes, and it brings about bad juju and all that good stuff.
I hear pitchforks and torches being lit.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I can see what you mean that in two different ways, like both from the trying to avoid the drama standpoint, and I think closer to game launch especially, I want there to be surprises, it's one thing that the community can have a voice on game mechanics at the beginning, but at the same time, I want to figure it out in game. I want to I don't want to understand all the mechanics behind finding a jump point before the game launches day one,
Yeah, that just ruins the mystery.
Right.
Doesn't ruin the people that we can torture, though. Wait, I'm the pirate here. Sorry. Anyway, it's Alt F4 to find the jump point, kids. What change to the game have you enjoyed the most?
Oh my God.
That doesn't make you a pirate. That makes you evil.
Sorry.
I'm
I'm a good evil. Come on now.
Good evil. I need the T-shirt. Sign me up.
Yep.
Oh Lord. I would say that the ship controls from the beginning to what we have now, the changes have been pretty phenomenal. I mean, and I hear they're implementing some new changes to the game mechanics on how the flight system works, and that sounds like it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yep. Big changes.
Yep, we can smoke now. No, I'm just kidding. What questions do you have for us?
What roles do you guys think you want to fill in the verse?
Oh God. Oh man. I'm the worst person to answer that question.
Keep it short.
First of all, when I first saw the game, I was hung up between the Hornet and the Freelancer, because I know I want to pew pew and I know I'm a good fighter pilot, but I know that the majority of the way I'd want to play the game would be more like Han Solo, rolling around the galaxy, exploring and trading and whatever. So I couldn't decide. That right there defined the rest of my Star Citizen experience. So now I own every single ship. and go ahead, ask me to pick a favorite. I have a love affair with every single ship, every single one.
Godric.
Even the Aurora.
I'm sorry, what's that? My turn for what?
You need to tell us what your planned role is in the game.
My planned role is to be a xenoarchaeologist, which means that I will be studying ancient ruins, alien ruins.
Ooh, I like it.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
But there's it's not just going to be the boring scientist. It's going to be the Indiana Jones type character.
It's going to be the one that gets the squadron of troops killed chasing after some random thing on some derelict in space.
Exactly.
I plan to be a professional problem solver that's really, really effective in negotiations and people skills.
Negotiator, huh?
Something that.
Drop your booty.
Not
your
necessarily
freelancer
that.
gets the worm.
So you're going to be my personal problem solver, eh?
Let's see, I spend 10,000 to sink your ship, or you give me 30,000 and I don't have to spend 10,000. you know, negotiations. It's kind of a touch and go.
It sounds like
Yeah,
it's going
fair
to be
enough.
a personal problem. He just brings a solution with him for you.
Pretty much.
One option.
But I mean, that's what I've geared myself for. On a side note, I also have a freelancer DIR because I just like the DIR and I want to be able to go around and fly and check things out and have fun in the verse. At the same time, I won't think twice about shooting somebody. So
I have a question for you. So you have the DIR, but do you have the civilian the military version, the DIR M, or do you have the civilian version, the DIR P?
I have the DIR run because I'm not fighting in that one.
Oh,
Think
you
about
missed
it.
out on my derp joke.
No, I'm not doing that. I am running.
Oh
but
man, hey Memphis, it's been a blast talking to you, and it's always nice to talk to a backer who comes from like a different perspective. I commend you on your patience and holding out between all the info drops, because it's like crack in the veins, man. Like you just you can't get away from you, and it wrecks everything else for you. So as long as you can hold off and just check in every now and then, I think you're on the right track. So
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. It's been
absolutely.
fun.
Vadran, anything else for our guest?
honestly, I think that pretty much is a wrap. Hey, go ahead and play that Godric, play that outro music, man.
You
Oh
got it.
yeah.
Pirates Den
Thank you, sir.
coming now.
There we go. By the way, Andrew, if you want to go and check out the music, it's you can go and find it inside of the Star Citizen group. I've actually made some of the tracks for the group.
Oh man.
All right.
Well, that was pretty good. I felt like it went well. Are we
Yeah,
still
that's
live?
We are still live.
Oh, dirty
Yeah.
live. Oh yeah.
There you go.
Quick, let's say something controversial. Space kids.
Racist
I hate
bacon.
them. We must.
Racist bacon. Controversy right there.
Keyboard, mouse versus joystick.
And you want to know why we need orbital mechanics? Because that way we can say winter is coming.
More like,
Oh,
Lord. That way I can actually bump you, spin me right round while I'm actually shooting at people.
Oh yeah. That's called the death blossom. Come on, man. Come on.